be with this community for the past year. And so, as we always do, we'll start our service this evening with lighting the Shabbat candles. And I've already told Rabbi Dan about my cool new device, which is battery operated and lights candles with a little charge. You could like tase someone, it's scary, but it works. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat.
Amen. So we'll give Cantor Emily a few seconds to put everything down, and we're going to turn and begin our service together on page 120. Ine Matot.
Right. Hine Matot Manayim Shevet.
We turn now to page 130, Lechu Naranana. We turn now to page 131, Shiru Ladonai.
Shiru Ladonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru Me'am Le'om Yeshuato, Shiru
We turn now to page 132, Or Zarua. Now turn to page 134, Zamru Ladonai.
Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor V'kol Zimra, B'chatzotzrot V'kol Shofar, Hariu Lifnei HaMelech Adonai, Yiram Hayam Umlo, Tevel V'yoshveva, Neharot Imcha Uchav Yachad, Harim Yiraneinu, Lifnei Adonai Kiva, Yishpot haaretz, Yishpot tevel betzedek, ve'amim me'sharim, Yiram hayam umlo, tevel ve'yoshveva, Neharot imcha uchav yachad, harim yiraneinu.
We turn now to page 135, Romemu.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho.
We turn now to page 138 for Lechadodi, and just a reminder, we'll be doing the first, second, fifth, and ninth stanzas, verses, whatever we may be.
All right.
Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi dodi, lechadodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. שני קדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי דודי לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי בעורף קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי דודי לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה.
If it is your custom, please rise in body or spirit.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי דודי לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה.
We'll turn now together, and if you're still standing, you can be seated at home. We'll turn to page 140, beginning with Tov Lehodot, which is the third line down in Hebrew, and then skipping down to Tzadik Katamar, which is right where the indent happens in the Hebrew in the middle of the page.
טוב להודות לאדוני טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר ולזמר לשמך עליון טוב להודות לאדוני להגיד בבוקר חסדך להגיד בבוקר חסדך באמונתך בלילות באמונתך בלילות טוב להודות לאדוני צדיק תמר יפרח כארז בבנון יזכה שתולי בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד ינובון בשיבה דשנים ורעננים יהיו
turn now to page 145 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikada v'yikada shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yamechon uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'zeman kariv. V'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach. Le'olam u'ame'amaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrombam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shamei dekudesha barichu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran me'alma v'yimeru amen.
For those who choose at home, we would rise as we turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu.
Yanadai, dai, dai, 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 yanadai, dai, dai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Yadadai, dai, dai, 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 yadadai, dai, dai.
Especially beautiful tonight. We're going to turn now to page 148, and we give the cantor, you take your time, don't rush. Okay, cantors need water. It's okay.
Yes, they do.
And this will be, again, I think we introduced this last week, right? The Natalie Young version. So maybe you'll introduce it a little bit. But again, we're on page 140.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a new version of Ma'ariv Aravim that I brought in last week. It's really beautiful. It begins with the blessing itself that you can find at the bottom of the page, and continues with some English. So I invite you to follow along. Also, if you hear an ice cream truck in the background, that is my neighborhood, and I apologize in advance.
Never have to apologize about ice cream.
Right?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro Ma'ariv Aravim b'chokhmah poteach sharim. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun. You unfold the heavens with the brilliant moon and stars and wrap our souls in peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro Ma'ariv Aravim
we're going to turn now to page 150, and we'll read together in English at the bottom of the page, the second blessing before the Shema. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע
We continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך וניברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We'll turn now to page 157, and we'll read together in English at the very top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
And we'll be marching together with my classic favorite. One more time together.
And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances towards the light. And the women dancing she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long.
We'll turn now to page 160, Hashkivenu.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. V'ha'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom.
Turn now to page 162, Vishamru.
Meshameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ein 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 beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz uvayom hashvi shavat shavat vayinafash.
So we'll turn to page 164 to begin the Amidah together tonight, and then, as we always do, to continue silently. Choice of standing or sitting is up to you this evening, but please go at your own pace, and eventually, hopefully you find yourself at rest at the end. So again, we'll begin on page 164 together and then continue on 166 and onward.
Adonai Svatai Tivtach, Adonai Svatai Tivtach, Ufi Yagir Tehilatecha, Ufi Yagir Tehilatecha. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hagyon libi. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hagyon libi lefanecha. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hagyon libi. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hagyon libi lefanecha. Adonai Suri, Adonai Tzuri v'goali, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri v'goali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hagyon libi. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi v'hagyon libi lefanecha.
At this time, we will transition into the Mishaberach. As always, this is a moment of time where we are looking to provide comfort and healing of body, mind, and soul for many in our world today. And so I will be reading our Mishiberach list of those close to our community, but I invite you to share the names of others in your lives who are in need of healing in the chat. And we will be thinking of those as we say the Mishiberach together today. Phyllis Katz, Raina Walsh, Deirdre Klein, Harav Tuvia Avraham Ben Asher Velea, Stephanie Skitt, Nancy Day Matei, Andrew Lesser, Linda Shapiro, Joan Sanborn, Jean Ben-Sadoun, Gloria Teradash, Andrea Klausner, Judy Stern, Miriam Cornfield, Roz Brody, Hannah Ruth Batsara, Marilee Silverberg, Louis Davidson, Susan Spruce, Fagel Tzipora Bat Elisheva Batsara, Richard Gambino, Michelle Sawicki, Idol Basha Bat Yitzchak, Tzvi Menachem Ben Chaim, Rivka Bat Devora, Amy and Gavin Tucker, Janice Kurz, David Dowling, Neil Rosen, Eileen Rosen, Elliot Rosen, Ron Weller, Ben Sion Ben Moshe, Lorraine Danis, Buddy Kossoff, Shelley Newmark, David Kyle Klotman, Rivka Bat Rachel, Sarah Bat Chana, Moshe Eliezer Ben Sivia, Peretz Ben Yehuda, and Leah Bat Naomi. We think of all these names and wish them a speedy healing as we sing together Nachamu, the words of comfort us in this wilderness that we are all experiencing today. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem. Try that with me. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem.
So this evening, as I hope most of you know, this month of June is Pride Month. And over the years that I've been here, and I think preceding the years that I've been here, we've always made occasion to mark the significance of this month. And this evening, we're really very honored, especially considering it's her last evening with us, that the cantor is could be our presenter tonight, our teacher, our invitation into what I hope is a true definition of this word pride and what it means. And our pride certainly in you, Cantor Emily, and what I hope that you can help share with us and show us this evening as you give us again one final glimpse, at least for the time being, of your wisdom. And we appreciate you taking that on tonight. So I'll switch it back over to you, and the virtual floor is yours, as they say.
Thank you. So this evening, I want to share a little story. I'll begin by just sharing that one of my favorite parts of Judaism is the idea that we are all created B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God. Now, I don't know about all of you, but I always grew up questioning why the image of God didn't look like me. Our history books and museums all showed God as a white man with a big beard. But if God created me to look in the image of God, then how could that be? And as I grew older and began to study Judaism more passionately, I learned that this Eurocentric patriarchal image of God is just one interpretation. And if any of you believe in that God with a big beard in the sky, that is totally cool. It's totally a great interpretation, but it's one. However God manifests to you is beautiful. For me, God holds various forms, often on a spectrum of physical appearances. I often see God within others, within all of you, and God doesn't have just one gender. Now, I know that conversations about gender and sexuality can be complicated. Often like conversations about race, a conversation we're having a lot right now. And it's no surprise that we're having these conversations at the same time because they are intersectional and they are together and streamed together. And there are so many questions, so many new terms that are happening, and it seems like things are changing every day. So I get it. But I'd like to have a little conversation, just us, as about sexuality, with a little bit of gender discussion thrown in there as well, because you can't just have one without the other, in honor of Pride Month. And this is a month that actually means something completely new to me this year. So bear with me. I am about to share something really vulnerable. What I'm about to say is not the easiest thing to share, and yet at the same time, it is also the easiest thing for me to admit to myself ever. Quite the dichotomy. So let me reintroduce myself. My name is Emily Houlihan. I'm 24 years old. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a dual cantorial and nonprofit management student at Hebrew Union College, and I identify as a bisexual queer woman. I know, crazy, right? It's like remarkable how one word can hold such weight. And I've felt the burden of that word for so many years, 7 to be exact. In 2013, when I was 17 years old, I was in a production of the musical Rent. If any of you know that, it's quite a scandalous musical, broke box office records in the 90s. And I was cast in a role I never anticipated playing, a butch lesbian named Joanne. And prior to this show, I had played Cosette in Les Miserables and Belle in Beauty and the Beast, but this was a different kind of role for me. A role that the moment I stepped into rehearsal, I knew I connected with Joanne on a realer and deeper level than the average person. Now, I grew up in a really loving household with amazing, amazing parents who always told me they loved me no matter who I loved and no matter who I was. So why for 7 years was I so scared to admit to myself and to others that I also liked women? Maybe it was because at the time I had no bisexual mentors or idols to look to. And I think many of you can think like very few people in the media were out as bi or are out as bi. And we acknowledge that gay icons, I mean, think Freddie Mercury or, there's so many different icons back in the day who were probably bisexual. But there was and is just a significant amount of what we call bi-erasure and biphobia. And I often get questions like, how do you know you're bisexual? And I say, well, the same way you know you're straight. And another one, which is challenging, is, are you ever going to make up your mind? And it felt so much easier for so long to just pick gay or straight. Pick one. I felt like the world was telling me. And so I did. For 7 years, I picked one and I hid my bisexuality until February 7th, 2020. Now, as some of you may know, October 2019 through February 2020 was an incredibly difficult few months in my personal life. My father was just diagnosed with prostate cancer, but good news, he's cancer-free, so that's a celebratory announcement. I personally had a medical scare, and there were a variety of other challenges that happened. And on February 7th, I saw a Broadway show called Jagged Little Pill, if anybody knows the music of Alanis Morissette. Very, very popular in the late 90s, early 2000s. And the lead female character, a young 17-year-old girl, came out as bisexual, same age as I was when I realized that that was my identity. And there was such a freedom I watched in her body language as she moved throughout the performance. In a world I realized I wanted to feel like that. I wanted to feel in a world that felt so out of control, like it does today, and it did then, coming out with something that was entirely my choice, my truth, and it was how God made me, in God's image. So tonight, I want to encourage all of you who identify as straight allies to listen and affirm your LGBTQ plus friends and family, because so much of the world tells us that we are wrong, that we are not normal. Straight kids don't have to come out to their parents. And I have the fortune of having to come out in almost every situation I'll ever be going into again, anything public for the rest of my life. And to be honest, I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'll tell you why. Because I know that my future B'nai Mitzvah students, as a cantor, who are too scared and worried to come out to the adults in their lives to tell them that they think they might be gay or bisexual or have been assigned the wrong gender and are transgender, that they will be comfortable coming to me, that I can be a mentor and a guide to them and for the next generation of Judaism as a whole. And because I've never felt as happy or free or completely me in my entire life until now. It was like a burden was lifted and I felt a breath of fresh air flow into my neshama. My soul is more deeply connected to my music and my Judaism now, and everything I do has more meaning. So just remember, B'Tselem Elohim is plural. Elohim is the plural iteration of God's name because God is everywhere and everything in each of us, and we are all made in God's image. Whether we are young, old, a Reformed Jew, an Orthodox Jew, a woman, a man, a non-binary individual, you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're straight, you're transgender, or you're bisexual. And all of those, all of them are beautiful, and all of them are exactly how God intended. And so tonight I'd like to share a song that is really personal and meaningful to me called Here I Am by cantor Yuval Porat. And I encourage you to listen to the words and think about someone in your life who might be trying to tell you exactly these words.
I'm not that brave or courageous. I'm not fearless. I'm just human. And some people are dying. And some people are trying to lend a hand. And since I can, here I am in my fear, but there's strength and hope within me. Here I am, and it's clear that the grace of God is with me. I'm trying to find the light in the chaos and do what I can, because I can. Here I am. I'm not that bold or daring. I'm not perfect. I'm just human. And some people are bleeding. And some people are needing to take a stand. And since I can, here I am in my fear, but there's strength and hope within me. Here I am, and it's clear that the grace of God is with me. I'm trying to find the light in the chaos and do what I can, because I can. I don't know why I feel this way inside. I'm just taking it in for all that it is. Here I am in my fear, but there's strength and hope within me. Here I am, and it's clear that the grace of God is with me. I'm trying to find the light in the chaos and do what I can, because I
Thank you.
Well, Cantor, you sure know how to leave us, you know? Beautiful. Just it doesn't need any further words, I think. Your words speak more powerfully than anything. But I think that you can see, I hope, in the faces of all of your friends here, your community here, how much we adore you and how much we are proud of you, truly, for exactly what you shared with us tonight. And a reminder to each of us, as I think you pointedly pointed out, very likely there are people in our lives who are not yet in a place in which they are ready to say who they truly are. And that comes in its own time. But one of the things that can help that time to find its way more naturally is to be supportive, to be loving, to be what we ought to be, the Tzelem Elohim, right? In the grace and the love of God's image. So truly, Emily, thank you for sharing with us tonight and sharing with us in such a perfectly, beautifully, wonderfully you way. And we really, truly appreciate it. And we appreciate the trust with which you shared with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we're going to transition now to page 586, and we're going to use, as we did last week, I think, a new melody for our Aleinu. So 586, and we will follow you, Cantor, and lead us where we will.
Yeah, so it'll be an English introduction, and then we'll go right into the Hebrew that we all know.
It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were free to do. For what's the point in being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Aleinu lishabeach. It's time to change our praise. We are carrying the stories of ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action. We brings meaning to our days. Aleinu lishabeach. It's time to live our praise. Aleinu lishabeach ladon hakol, latei kedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kogoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkenu chahem, vegor aleinu kecho hamonam. Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Now invite those who are in mourning or those observing yahrzeit, if you choose at home, to rise. As first we remember those who've passed in recent months. Nancy Fisher, Saul Fisher, Sandra Friedman, Laura Kurz, Meyer Osofsky, Vera Shaps, Lisa Schneidman, and Norma Small. We also mark the yahrzeit that occurred during the last week for Anna Busgang, Ruth Cooper, Irving Kornblath, Stephen Garson, Francis Ginsberg, Mildred Gostin, Carolyn Gottfried Kahn, M.L. Hart, Springa Heller, Joseph Kamenkow, Samuel Katz, Sarah Krennick, Pauline Levy, Benjamin Levitman, Henry Lobel, Max Olswang, Eileen Osofsky, Bella Proper, Abraham Protas, Abe Rosenblatt, Burnett Roth, Edward Sachs, Ed Silverberg, Bertha Warder, Abraham Zaltis, and Jean Zaretsky. And if there's anyone for whom you're saying Kaddish this evening that we didn't mention, you're certainly welcome to add their names to the chat as well as we join together in the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agalav izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabah mevarach le'alam le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may every one of their memories be for a blessing. Okay, please be seated at home. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Where I can see everybody, which is nice. So first, of course, and I know we said goodbye to you last week, Emily, but we're saying goodbye a second time. But as I said last week, and the same is true now, that our goodbye is a goodbye of a certain sort, but we know that we will be seeing you again. And actually, I can say with definitive proof that we will see you again sooner than most people realize, and I will tell you why in a second with our announcements. But before we get to that, though, just, of course, a reminder that Shabbat morning services will be live streamed tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., followed by our regular Torah study at noon. And again, that service is available on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, and on our own homepage as well. And Torah study will be on Zoom. Also, to remind everyone that throughout the rest of the summer, 7 o'clock on Saturday evenings, a Havdalah with the Geffen family, or what tends to be more me, and then occasionally a small child running through the picture. But certainly something that we enjoy, and we hope that you can join us. We do a little bit of learning, a little bit of focusing on the week to come, and it's been wonderful since. I also want to note that the Women's Rosh Chodesh group will be meeting virtually on Zoom this Sunday at 4:30 p.m. So if you're interested in the Women's Rosh Chodesh group, you have any questions, please let me know, and I will point you towards all of the powers that be that know much more than I do about it. But it is one of our great pillars here of our community. So please, if you're interested, do let us know so we can put you in touch with Shelley and the rest of the leadership, and they will tell you all about it. Just a few other upcoming things in the immediate sense, and then a few things in a little bit longer sense. Just a reminder that on Mondays at 5 o'clock, the Social Justice Committee will be meeting and discussing a number of things. And in relationship to that, and I thank you again, a gratitude to our co-chairs, Andy and Alyssa, for everything that they have been doing. One of which I think was particularly important was on Monday evening of this week. And I thank those who were able to join us for the panel discussion, for those who've had a chance potentially to watch the recording of it. But of course, the realization, as I said that night, that it was the beginning of a conversation, certainly not its end. And so one thing that I realized knowing going into that evening was that we would run out of time. We would inevitably not be able to get to all of the questions and things that we need to discuss. Some of those things really specifically pertaining to how we as a Jewish community and how we as a temple respond to racial injustice. So we're going to have as a starting point a follow-up conversation this Thursday at 7 o'clock, which I will lead because of a great part of Zoom, which we don't use very often. It's called breakout rooms. It means you can break into smaller groups. So we'll have a little bit of big discussion, a little bit of facilitated small discussion, and again, a beginnings of something that will continue on, ultimately speaking, until the concept of racial injustice is something that we have truly overcome. I hope that is sooner than later, but I know also realistically that it's going to be some serious work on our part. So I invite you all to participate in any way, shape, or form that you can. And again, I thank everybody who joined us on Monday as well. Just another note, on Monday, this coming Monday, there is a great Jewish paper cutting workshop at 7 o'clock that Shelley has helped to organize for us. I think she's on the call, but her camera is off, so I won't put her on the spot. But please do contact Shelley if you have any questions about all of that. Last thing is, and I'm going to use, just to be very quick about this, a screen share to show you what will make everybody's life a little easier. We have a lot coming up in the month of July. And I wanted to just show you that your own website, your own temple's website, has a tremendous amount of helpful information. If you go to our homepage now, it will give you a couple options. If you click welcome to our virtual home, which is temporary, you'll get options for our live streaming when it happens, but also at the bottom, a very detailed set of instructions here of our calendar and what is coming up and what is available. And so as you can see, as soon as you go and you click on something, you get the whole flyer and all the information, all the things that you need to do. And we have a lot coming up in July, which I want you to explore in its depth. Tonight, we won't go into every single thing. But one thing I do want to highlight, and I want to actually ask Ruth, since she's with us tonight. Ruth, I'm going to unmute you, and if you wouldn't mind just introducing our Torah Study Women's Commentary Torah Study this month. I think you just have to unmute you. Give me 1 second there. All right, Ruth, you're on. So why don't you tell us who is going to teach us this month?
Okay. Well, it's my pleasure to announce that next Saturday, Torah study using a women's commentary will be facilitated by my daughter, Rabbi Rebecca Joseph. The parasha is a double parasha, but she's going to be talking about the passage in Chukat on the death of Miriam. And she will start with that and go on from there. I know she's been working on this for a couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say as well. She'll be coming to us from her home in Berkeley, California, and very much looking forward to it. I hope you'll all be there. That's Saturday, July 4th, with Rabbi Rebecca Joseph.
Great. Well, thank you, Ruth. I figured, I hope it wasn't impolite to put you on there, but I think we should all be very proud that we have this opportunity. And we thank you, Ruth, for making it possible, because it really is great. Yes, exactly. Emily will come back for that one. Okay, and so the last thing, as I mentioned to Emily, and that we would see her sooner than most people realize, is because we have a very cool program coming up in a few weeks. We are showing the behind-the-scenes documentary that is called Fiddler, A Miracle of Miracles, which is going to tell us a little bit about the wonder of what Fiddler became on Broadway. And as some of you may remember, and I'll put her on so she can explain it, Cantor Emily has a bit of a background with that experience. And so in addition to showing the film, we'll also have a chance to hear a little bit about her experience and to hear a little bit of singing, I'm told. So Emily, maybe give us 2 seconds of what to look forward with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I've been in Fiddler 5 times in my lifetime. Once with my entire family. My dad was Tevye, my mom was Golda, and I was one of the daughters. So it's very near and dear to my heart. And the year before I started cantorial school, I worked for the National Yiddish Theater, as some of you know. And it was right at the time that they were starting to produce Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish. And I was fortunate to play 2 kind of parts in the creation of the production. One is their development manager, and that kind of inspired my Master's of Jewish Nonprofit Management with HUC now. And so I helped fundraise for the production. And then the second was I played the role of Chava in the first reading of Yiddish Fiddler. So I'll never forget the day Joel Gray asked me why I wasn't auditioning for his show. We'll go more into detail with that, and I'll let you know on the day of, so you better come so you can have that question answered.
Very good. You're very good at this, Emily. You did a wonderful job on that. And do you remember, I just don't have it in front of me, the date is the 17th, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, Sunday the 17th. I think it's the 17th.
Everyone's going to double check that, but it should be Sunday the 17th at 7 o'clock. So that one does, and most things, requires a pre-registration. So just make sure you pay attention to the details, and we hope you can join us. It'll be a really fun night. And again, a good chance to see Emily. And Emily, just one last request of you before we start to conclude tonight. I'm sure many people would love to be able to write to you directly and to thank you for this evening and for everything. Is it okay to share, or maybe you can share with us your approved email address? That would be a good way to reach you in the chat.
Sure, yeah. So I'll put it in the chat right now. But then if you need to reach me on another time, Rabbi Dan has my email. Okay, it's actually.
I certainly do. And again, our big thanks and gratitude, and we're gonna have you, because we're gonna work you until the very last minute of time. If you can give us a closing song before we do Kiddush, that would be really
okay. Nice. So actually, I'm unable to.
Not a problem. I will take care of sharing that information. Just
you can share my email.
I'll get the HUC one if that's okay.
Perfect. That's great. Sounds
Great.
good.
So I think we're on page 645. Is that right?
It's not. Sorry. No, it's not. That was
Got
left
it.
out of me from last
I was going
week.
to say, I would have been surprised. That would.
No, yeah, I wish this was in the Mishkan, but it's
Yeah.
not. This is a new piece that you haven't heard yet, but kind of in the theme of Pride Month and celebrating who we are, and reminding our allies that you also have a voice. Speak up when you see injustice happening, no matter where it is. So this is called I Have a Voice, music and lyrics by my amazing teacher, Alana Arian.
I will open my eyes. I will not look away. I will use this gift I've been given every day. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will give of myself. I will reach out my hand. I will use this heart I've been given to take a stand. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam she'asanu B'Tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech haolam she'asanu B'Tselem Elohim. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world.
That's beautiful. All right, so we're going to conclude as sweetly as we possibly can with Kiddush. If you'd like to join me, it's on page 123. If you've got wine or grape juice handy, now would be the opportune time. You can remain seated, but I will stand. Again, page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav b'hanu v'shabat kodsho b'ahava u'vratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim, everybody.
Chaim, Shabbat
Chaim, we can
Shalom.
unmute everybody who wants to be unmuted. Wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. And of course, a reminder that we have our virtual oneg online in a few minutes. Hopefully, I think it just froze all the last minute.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
This is my-
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Join us on the
Shabbat shalom.